Olaves and Newstead Homework 12. Question 1 asks, what is the primary focus of the passage? The options are A. Sarah's imaginative prowess, B. The teacher's boring lesson, C. Sarah's daydreaming in class, D. The beautiful forest outside the classroom, and E. The iridescent creature. The correct answer is C. Sarah's daydreaming in class. The story is all about how Sarah is lost in her own thoughts, imagining a fantasy world instead of focusing on her class. Moving on to question 2. Which of the following phrases best represents a synonym for transcended words in line 3? Our options are A. Exchanged letters, B. Went beyond language, C. Spoke eloquently, D. Confused everyone, and E. Played with words. The best answer here is B. Went beyond language. When something transcends words, it means it goes past what can be expressed with just simple language. Let's continue with question 3. In lines 3 to 4, what language device is used when the passage says, "The winged serpentine guardian of the forest removed its mesmerizing, jewel-like eyes from the young girl"? The options are A. Simile, B. Metaphor, C. Personification, D. Alliteration, and E. Hyperbole. The correct answer is B. Metaphor. The passage describes a creature as a guardian, which is a way of describing it by what it does instead of describing it literally. Now let's look at question 4. In line 5, what does alight mean? The options are A. Illuminate, B. Perch, C. Take off, D. Soar, and E. Grab. The correct answer is B. Perch. When a bird alights, it means it lands on something. Okay, on to question 5. Why was Sarah's vision blurred? The options are A. She had just woken up from a nap, B. The classroom lights were too bright, C. She was nearsighted and forgot her glasses, D. She was daydreaming and not focusing on her surroundings, and E. The teacher had drawn a complex diagram on the board. The correct answer is D. She was daydreaming and not focusing on her surroundings. Since Sarah was lost in her daydream, her vision blurred because she wasn't paying attention to the real world. Let's go to question 6 now. What word can replace cacophony in line 7 without changing the meaning? Our options are A. Melody, B. Silence, C. Disarray, D. Chorus, and E. Symphony. The correct answer is C. Disarray. A cacophony means a mix of loud, confusing noises, which is similar to a state of disarray. Now, for question 7, which of these is the closest in meaning to the mundane veil in line 9? Our options are A. Boring cover, B. Curtain with monotone colors, C. Layer of ordinary life, D. Mist of misery, and E. Tedious cloak. The correct answer here is C. Layer of ordinary life. The mundane veil represents the regular, dull, everyday life that Sarah is trying to escape from with her daydream. Let's continue with question 8. Which of the following words can replace glade in line 15? The options are A. Meadow, B. Labyrinth, C. Brook, D. Torrent, and E. Lakeshore. The correct answer is A. Meadow. A glade is simply an open space in a forest, so a meadow fits best. And finally, we have question 9. In line 21, why did the narrator use the word reverie to describe Sarah's state? The options are A. To indicate that Sarah was in a state of daydreaming or deep dreamy thought, B. To show that Sarah was immersed in a musical performance, C. To highlight that Sarah was not feeling uninterested in the classroom discussion, D. To emphasize that Sarah was feeling bored and uninterested, and E. To suggest that Sarah was being respectful to the creatures and the forest. The correct answer is A. To indicate that Sarah was in a state of daydreaming or deep dreamy thought. Reverie is a word that means being lost in your thoughts, which perfectly describes Sarah's daydream. Question 10. So the passage uses the phrase, endeavoring to bridge the chasm between these two profoundly divergent realms of hers. What does the narrator mean by this? Well, he is talking about Sarah's imagination and the classroom, which are two very different things. The narrator is saying that Sarah is trying to make a connection between her imaginative world and the classroom environment. So the answer here is A. Sarah was trying to create a connection between her imagination and the classroom. The narrator is describing how Sarah is trying to link these two different worlds, her fantasy world and the real classroom. Now let's move on to question 11. Question 11 asks, which two language devices are not used in the passage? We have 5 options: alliteration, archaism, euphemism, imagery, and personification. Archaism refers to old-fashioned language, and euphemism is when we soften harsh expressions. Neither of those are used in this passage, so the correct answers are B, archaism, and C, euphemism. Okay, question 12 is next. Question 12 says, which 2 words invoke the feeling of fantasy in the passage? We need to choose 2 words that make us think of a fantasy world. From the options, emerald, captivating, daydream, ethereal, and wonderland, the 2 words that best suggest a fantasy world are C, daydream, and E, wonderland. These words make us think of escaping to a fantastical place. Questions on probability. Question 13. Imagine you have a bag with 12 colorful counters inside. 3 are blue, 6 are red, and 3 are green. Now, if Tom were to reach in and grab a counter without looking, what is the chance he'd pick a blue one? We show probability on a scale, and we need to mark the correct probability with a cross. The correct answer is 1/4. Now let's look at why. To find the probability, we take the number of blue counters and divide it by the total number of counters. So we have 3 blue counters and 12 counters in total. 3 divided by 12 simplifies to 1/4. This means if Tom picks a counter randomly, he has a 1 in 4 chance of getting a blue one. Question 14. Let's use the same bag with 12 counters, 3 blue, 6 red, and 3 green. This time, what is the probability of Tom picking a red counter? We need to mark this on our probability scale again. The correct answer is 1/2. The probability of picking a red counter is the number of red counters divided by the total. We have 6 red counters and 12 total, so 6 divided by 12 simplifies to 1/2. This means there is a 50% chance that Tom will pick a red counter at random. Question 15. Okay, same bag again. 12 counters, 3 blue, 6 red, and 3 green. What if we ask the chance of Tom picking an orange counter? Mark this on the probability scale. The correct answer is 0. This is because there are no orange counters in the bag. If there's nothing of a certain color in the bag, then you can't possibly pick one out. So the probability of picking an orange counter is 0. Question 16. Peter is rolling an ordinary 6-sided die. The sides are marked with numbers 1 to 6. What is the probability that he rolls a 6? Correct answer is 1/6. A die has 6 sides, and only one side has a 6 on it. Since each side is equally likely to land face up, the probability of rolling a 6 is 1 divided by 6, or 1/6. Question 17. What is the probability that Peter rolls an even number on the same die? The correct answer is 1/2. The even numbers on a die are 2, 4, and 6. That's 3 even numbers out of 6 total sides. So 3 divided by 6 simplifies to 1/2. This means there's a 50% chance of rolling an even number. Question 18. Sam rolls a different 6-sided die 600 times and only rolls a 6 20 times. What might explain this result? The correct answer is that the die is likely biased. If the die was fair, you'd expect to roll a 6 about 1 in 6 times. Over 600 rolls, that should be close to 100 6s. Sam only got 20, which is way lower, suggesting the die is not fair and is biased, meaning it doesn't have the same chance of rolling each number. Question 19. We have a spinner with 3 colors, blue, green, and red. The probability of blue is 1/3 and green is 1/6. We need to figure out the probability of landing on red to complete the table. The correct answer is 1/2. All probabilities together have to add up to 1. Blue is 1/3 and green is 1/6. If we add them together, 1/3 plus 1/6 equals 1/2. To find the missing probability for red, we subtract that from 1, which gives us 1/2. Question 20. If we spin this spinner 180 times, how many times would we expect it to land on blue? The correct answer is 60 times. The probability of blue is 1/3. We multiply the total number of spins, 180, by 1/3. 180 divided by 3 equals 60. If the spinner is fair, it should land on blue about 60 times. Question 21. The same spinner is spun 180 times, but only lands on green 5 times. Other than the spinner being unfair, why could this happen? The correct answer is it's due to chance. Even with probabilities, random things can happen. We expect a certain number of outcomes, but real results can vary. It's like flipping a coin. Sometimes you might get more heads or tails, and that's just how chance works. Question 22. Ben flips a coin 3 times. He says he's more likely to get heads, then tails, then heads, then 3 tails in a row. Is he right? The correct answer is no, he is not correct. Each coin flip has a 1/2 chance of being heads and 1/2 for tails. Each sequence of flips is independent, so the chance of heads, tails, then heads is the same as all tails. Both sequences are 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which is 0.125, so they are equally likely. Question 23. 3 friends are flipping the same biased coin. Sonia flips 120 times, Clive flips 30 times, and Lucy flips 60 times. Each calculates their probability of getting heads. Who is likely to have the closest result to the true probability? The correct answer is Sonia. When estimating probability, a bigger number of tries usually gives a better answer. Sonia has the most flips, 120, so her result will be less affected by chance than Clive and Lucy's. Therefore, Sonia's probability will be the most reliable estimate of the true probability. Question 24. Which of these pairs of words has a different relationship compared to the others? We have options A, calm and peaceful, B, fast and quick, C, angry and happy, D, sad and melancholy, and E, tall and high. Now, most of these pairs are synonyms. Synonyms are words that have very similar meanings, like calm and peaceful. But there is one that is different. The pair angry and happy are opposites, which we call antonyms. So the correct answer is C, angry and happy. Now let's move on to question 25. Which of the following is an odd one out? A, spoke clearly, B, shouted angrily, C, whispered slowly, D, screamed furiously, and E, typed quietly. All the phrases here involve some form of speaking except for one. Typed quietly does not involve speaking, while all the others describe ways of talking. So the correct answer is E, typed quietly. Okay, let's go to question 26. Which word in the sentence is an adjective? The sentence is, she diligently worked on her adventurous project until completion. The options are A, she, B, diligently, C, worked, D, her, and E, adventurous. Remember, an adjective is a word that describes a noun. In this sentence, adventurous is describing the noun project, which makes it an adjective. So the correct answer is E, adventurous. Next up is question 27. Which sequence of numbers represents the code for the word arts? We're given that the words star, RATS, and TARS are all anagrams of each other, meaning they use the same letters, just in a different order. The numbers assigned are star equals 5916, RATS equals 6195, and TARS equals 9165. So since arts is another rearrangement of these same letters, we use the same pattern. A corresponds to 1, R to 6, T to 9, and S to 5. Therefore, the correct answer is B, 1695. Okay, on to question 28, Emily's exam score. We know that Emily, Jacob, Katie, Liam, and Megan have consecutive scores. Jacob scored the lowest with 60, and Megan scored the highest with 64. We also know that Emily scored higher than Katie, but lower than Liam. Since the scores must be consecutive, we can figure out the order. Jacob is 60, Katie is 61, Emily is 62, Liam is 63, and Megan is 64. So the correct answer is B, 62, because that is Emily's score. Let's take a look at question 29, arranging words by length. The sentence is, mountains climb hikers every weekend. We need to arrange these words in order from the longest to shortest. Mountains has 9 letters, weekend has 7 letters, hikers has 6 letters, and both climb and every have 5 letters each. Arranging them in order, the correct answer is A, mountains, weekend, hikers climb every. Now question 30, arranging words by number of vowels. Our sentence is, our ocean provides food for many people. We need to count the vowels in each word. Ocean has 3 vowels, provides has 3 vowels, people has 3 vowels, our has 2 vowels, food has 2 vowels, for has 1 vowel, and many has 2 vowels. Ordering them from most vowels to least, we get E, ocean provides people our food for many. Question 31, arranging words by alphabetical order of final letter. The sentence is, joy brings hope to all. We need to look at the last letter of each word. Joy ends in ye, brings ends in ease, hope ends in e, to ends in o, and all ends in e. Ordering them by the last letter, we get D, Hope alta brings joy. Let's move on to question 32. Arranging words by number of syllables. The sentence is, creative children create wonderful dreams. We need to count the syllables in each word. Creative has 3 syllables. Wonderful has 3 syllables. Children has 2 syllables. Create has 2 syllables. And dreams has 1 syllable. Ordering them from most syllables to least, we get A. Creative, wonderful children create dreams. And finally, question 33. Identifying homophones. The words are sight, sight, might. Homophones are words that sound the same but have different meanings. Sight, and sight all sound the same, while might sounds different. So the correct answer is B, sight and sight only. That completes all the questions.
So now I'm going to be going through the answers to the MVR section of this homework. So for the first question, we're deciding which figure is the odd one out. So here, looking at it, I can see B and D, which have the same colour squares. So B has black ones only and D has white ones. It's kind of in this pattern, like a Z kind of pattern. They're on opposite sides of the line. And A and E, when they have black and white, they're both on the same side of the line. Whereas C has black and white, different colours, but it follows the Z pattern of B and D and not the pattern of A and E, as it has different colours. So C is the odd one out. Because when there's black and white, they should be on the same side of the line, not on opposite sides of the line. Next question. So in this one, so when looking at this, at first I thought it might be to do with overlapping, but actually it's to do with the number of sides of the shapes. So in each box, they add the total number of sides adds up to 8. So here we've got a pentagon and a triangle. 5 plus 3 equals 8. Here we've got 2 squares, 8. Here we've got 2 triangles, 3, which is 6. And then circles we class as a one-sided, even though technically that's not true, but for the purpose of the MVR questions, you class circles as a one-sided shape. So 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1, that equals 8 as well. 4-sided and one-sided, that equals 5. And then this one is a 4-sided, so square, a triangle which is 3, and 1. 4 plus 3 plus 1 equals 8. So D is the odd one out, as the total number of sides is 5, not 8. Next question. So looking at all of them, the black squares sort of face each other like this. And then the white squares, so the pattern must be to do the white squares. So looking at them, the squares move around the cross shape in the same direction, so either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So this white square and this white square, they're both pointing out in a anti-clockwise. These are both pointing out the line in a clockwise. These are going anti-clockwise and these are going clockwise. Whereas A, this one's going clockwise and this one's going anti-clockwise, so they're going in opposite directions. Therefore A is the odd one out. Next question. So on this one, just from looking at it, all of them have 4 black squares apart from D. So D is the odd one out as it only has 3 black squares. Next question. So looking at it, the white small square is always on the right side, and the small black square is always on the left. Whereas in E, we've got a black square on the left and the right, so E is the odd one out. Next question. This is now a which figure completes the series. So I'm just going to draw a box here because this is next in the series. Don't make the mistake of assuming this is the box that you need to find the pattern for, because it's an empty box, because that's already part of the series. So it's always going to be, the square won't be drawn in, so it's going to be this one here. I'm just going to draw it in to try and figure it out. So it looks like in this column there's always one white square on the left, and in the last column there's always two white squares at the top, so I'm just gonna draw that in. Then onto the black squares. Here there's always one black square in the bottom right corner in that row, and then in this row there's two black squares at the bottom. I'll actually draw these in green. So there. So there's going to be two white and two black. So the answer is D. Next question. Again, it's going to be this box here for completing the series. So if we look at the pattern in the top row, so we have this shape, and then the next box we still have this shape, but we gain this, and then we lose the pink one and we're left with that green one. So if we do that in the last row, which we're completing that row, so we start off with this shape, it stays in the second box, but we gain this one, and then only the green one will be left. Then the pink one will disappear. So the box that looks like that is A. So the answer is A. Next question. So this is which figure belongs in neither group. So it shouldn't match the pattern of group 1 or group 2. So when I first looked at this question, I fell into the trap of thinking it was to do with the number of white and black shapes. So here in group 1, as you can see, there's 3 white shapes, and in group 2 there's 3 black shapes. But that's actually not the only pattern, because as you can see in all the answer options either have 3 white or 3 black. So there must be another pattern as well. So always have a look at the answer options after you've looked at group 1 and group 2, so that you don't start looking for the wrong pattern, because there might be multiple patterns that are linked together. So the pattern in this one is actually to do with the one other shape that's a different colour to the other 3. So in group 1, as you can see, the black shape is always a rhombus, and in group 2 the white shape is always a square. So not A, because we've got this, not B, because we've got this, C, we do have a rhombus, but it's a white rhombus, when the one shape that's white should be a square like in group 2. So C is the odd one out. And in D, we can see we've got the one white square. So C has the shape of group 1, but the colour of group 2. So C belongs in neither group, because it's sort of mismatched between group 1 and group 2's patterns. Next question. This one, as you can see, we've got 2 black and 2 white in both groups. So yeah, and also this another pattern is the diagonal versus the vertical. So as you can see, all the answer options have that as well, so that's not the only pattern. So in this one, you may have noticed that in group 1 and in group 2, the two shapes that are black are never the same shape. So A is the odd one out, the one that belongs in neither group, as we've got two black squares, when they should never be the same shape in group 1 and group 2. And just remember, for these questions, the pattern must be present in every square. It won't be a pattern if it's not in one. So every square of the group has to have that pattern. Otherwise it's not a pattern, and you need to look for a different pattern. Next question. This question is a bit more complicated, but for this one, for these sort of questions, what I would do is just start writing the number on each domino. So here we've got 6, 2, 4, 1, 2, 0. Here we've got 2, 5, 1, 3, 0, 1. That writing it out like that might help you see a pattern. Maybe it's through the odd numbers, even numbers, and it can just help you visualize it better. So just looking at this, what I've spotted is that when you go diagonal like this, as you can see, it's going down. So from 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. And then the other diagonal way, so we have 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0. So if we follow that pattern, so if we follow this, so 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the one here, that should end up being 0. So there'll be no black dots on the domino in the top of the answer figure. So looking at the answer options, it's got to be B, as it has 0 black dots. So the answer is B. That's the next in the series. That's it. We're done.